you very much, and welcome to Trick or Read, our virtual night of storytelling, featuring entries from the Friends of the Library's Scary Story Contest. And to kick things off, we're going to start with one of the winners from our children's category. It's called Monster Math. And to present the story is our very own party monster, Miss Lori.
So this is Math Monsters. Once upon a time, there was a big, scary book. The book was called The Math Book of Doom. When you open the Math Book of Doom, math monsters appear around your house. The monsters start coming after you. You know they are coming because you hear the noises they make. Sometimes it is a clattering of spikes on the ground, or it could be the chomping of teeth. It gets closer and closer and closer until they're right behind you. Oh no! The only way to stop them is to solve the math problems on the page. Each time you open the Math Book of Doom, the problems get harder. So, do not open. Don't open it. No, don't. I'm talking to you, Billy. Do not keep going. Turn back now, and no one will get hurt. All right, what should we do? Maybe I better not read this book after all. What? No, you think I should turn the page? Okay. Chomp. Look what you did! Now the monster is free. Do you hear it? Chomp. 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 Do you hear the chomping? It's chomping. Chomping. It must be Chomper, the one that chomps at your toes. If we do not finish this math problem, prepare for your toes to be nibbled on. Quick, help me. I can't think. All I can hear is chomping. 12 minus 9. What is it? Somebody tell me. 12 minus 9 is what? Did someone say 3? 3. Whew. Whew. Wait. Oh, no. What was I thinking? I turned the page. Oh, what was I doing? Now, if we've released another monster, now I hear a smashing sound. Oh! You've unleashed Thumper, the monster that bangs on your head. How are we going to solve this problem with that constant banging? 17 minus 10. Focus, focus. 17 minus 10. Anybody? 7? 7. Okay, 7. All right, wait. It says, please stop turning pages. I think I'm ready to stop turning pages. What? No? Somebody told me to go ahead? Do I have to? All right, here we go. What? Oh no! Now the clattering of spikes. Can you hear the clattering of spikes? Oh no! It's getting closer! It's Spike! The trap monster! Oh no! He pricks you! Quick, solve the problem! Wait, there are 2 problems? Oh, what's going on here? 8 plus 2! 8 plus 2! What is it? Quick! Oh, 10, okay. And how about 11 minus 2? 9? 9? Oh, we've done it. Whew. Okay, please stop. It only gets worse. Should I stop now? No, keep going. We're committed. Here we go. Yikes! Now one eye is coming to get you. He likes to hit you on the head with his spike ball hands. Oh no. Oh, I can hear him swinging those spike ball hands. Oh, help me. 12 minus 7. This is a hard one. 12 minus 7. What is it? 12 minus 7? 3? No? 7? No? 5? 5. That's it. 5 is. Oh, we're safe. Okay. I don't think we should turn the page. Who knows what could be next? No? Turn the page? All right. Ah! It's Stalker the Snake Monster! Oh no! We better hurry before he eats us up. 8 plus 6. Oh, these are getting harder. 8 plus 6. Who knows what 8 plus 6 is? 14? 14! Woo! Oh, we're safe. Woo. All right. I know. You want to turn the page, right? All right. Fine. Oh, that is an awful sound. Do you hear that squishing noise? Listen. here soon. I don't like the sound of that. Don't be scared. He will just freeze you to death if he touches you. What? Oh my word! Hurry! 11 minus 4. 11 minus 4, what is it? Quick, I don't want to freeze to death. 7? 7. Whew. We did it. All right. Go on. I know you want to. Ah! It's Sharptooth! He'll tear us apart! Quick, there's only one thing to do. Close the book. I don't think I'm going to open that math book for a long time.
Thank you, Miss Lori. That was a great story. All right, all you ghosts and goblins out there, it's time for one of my favorite dances, the Zombie Boogie. Come on, get on up off that couch. Here we go.
You put your right arm out, you put your right arm in, and you shake it all about. You do the zombie boogie, and everybody shout. That's what it's all about. You put your left arm in, you put your left arm out, you put your left arm in, and you shake it all about. You do the zombie boogie, and everybody shout. That's what it's all about. You put your right leg in, you put your right leg out, you put your right leg in, and you shake it all about. You do the zombie boogie, and everybody shout. That's what it's all about. You put your left leg in, you put your left leg out, you put your left leg in, and you shake it all about. You do the zombie boogie, and everybody shouts. That's what it's all about. You put your whole self in, put your whole self out. You put your whole self in, and you shake it all about. You do the zombie boogie, and everybody shouts. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Whoa, man, that got the blood pumping. Whew. Oh, I feel a riddle coming on. Oh, let's see. I have bones, but no skin. You'll hear me rattle and groan, because I'm a skeleton! Oh, I think I might have another one. Let me see. I float through the air, lighter than most. Right through me you'll stare, because I'm a ghost! You got it! Oh, good job! All right, well now, straight from the circulation desk is Miss Kelsey with a story from one of our teen entries. Take it away, Kels.
This is Mirrors. I don't have a reflection. I have spent the entirety of my life staring at an empty pane of glass. All I have ever wished for was to see myself in a mirror. How are you today? Silence. Why don't you speak to me? Sometimes I don't like doing all the talking. I stared at the mirror. Can I see it today? My reflection, I mean? No response. Do you not know where my reflection is? They have theirs, I said, gesturing to the tattered furniture behind me. Is it lost? I asked, moving closer. If it's lost, I can help you find it. It has to be somewhere, right? I hesitated. Quietly, I spoke to it again. Is it dead? Is my reflection dead? Silence. You can tell me, you know. I just need to know. I waited. Fine. If you won't talk to me, I won't talk to you. I turned away from the glass and sank to the ground. I listened for a moment, hoping for the mirror to tell me to turn back, but it said nothing. I rested my head against the wall and let myself fall into a deep sleep. How are you doing today? I fiddled with my fingers. You're very pretty, you know, shiny and sleek. Am I also pretty? I gave it a moment. You don't even need to show me. Just tell me. Am I pretty? I tugged at my hair as I waited for a response. It didn't say anything. Say something. Am I hideous? Just tell me. I won't be mad no matter how honest you are. I promise. I stared at the glass, pleading with it, begging it. I just want to know. I need to know. I huffed and dropped to the ground with the thud, leaving my hope where it was. Fine. I don't need you. I can figure it out on my own. I leaned back against the wall and held up my hands in front of my face. They were dainty and small. I pulled them to the nest of hair that rested on my head. I ran my fingers through the thick locks and pulled them to the front of my face. They were light, almost golden. I felt at my face. I still had the same dainty chin, the same thin lips. I still had a tiny nose and small eyebrows. Then there were my eyes. They were what I longed to see the most, the biggest mystery to me. I always wished they were a vibrant green. I thought they would suit my sun-kissed hair. I turned to the wall behind me. I let my fingers trace the etching I had begun to make of my face. I hoped that one day I would see myself. Then I could look at this and laugh at how inaccurate it was, or smile at how close I had gotten. I found where I left off with the eyebrows and continued to carve with my nails. Sometimes they would chip or break, but I didn't mind. It would be worth it to have some semblance of a reflection. I continued until I began to feel drowsy. My cheek was against the hard floor. Funny that I couldn't remember falling asleep. I stood, groggy and sore, to look in the mirror. I was greeted by the glow of emptiness. Why can't I see it? I whispered. Why can't I see it? I clenched my fists and slammed them against the mirror. There was a crack. Blood dripped down my arms. I staggered back, watching in horror as shards fell to the ground, leaving emptiness in place of the mirror. I approached the wall slowly. There was something where the wall should have been. It was a dark, empty abyss. Hesitantly, I stuck my arm through the grave of the mirror. I felt something. Hair. I quickly threw my other arm through the hole, grabbing at the hair. When I had a good grip, I yanked on the hair with a pull as hard as I could muster. Through the black hole came a body, struggling against my hold. They hit the floor, blood beginning to pool at their head. I stared at the body for a few moments. The body belonged to a beautiful woman. She began to stir. For a moment, I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing I could. I rushed to the hole in the wall and crawled through until I stumbled out the other end. I was mortified. I was in the same room. No, not the same room. The body was gone. I turned back to the wall where I found a mirror in place of the abyss. Standing there was the woman I had dragged through, staring at me with puzzled green eyes. Oh, I thought, smiling. This is what it's like to have a reflection of my own.
We want to give a special shout out to the Friends of the Library for sponsoring our Scary Story contest this year, and also to all of you great authors who entered stories. It was amazing. Thank you. Now, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're a preschooler through 6th grade, remember to come to the children's area and pick up your prize. And we will be announcing the teen and adult winners at the end of the evening. You can also come to the library to pick up your prize at the circulation desk if you're a winner. And congratulations to everyone who entered. We had an amazing turnout. Thank you again. Up next, we have our fabulous teen librarian, straight from Transylvania, off her fortune teller tour. I think she was learning how to tell fortunes. I don't know. Anyway, she's got a fabulous story to tell you. Miss Wendy.
The fortune teller. Do you believe in fate? I didn't. Not until fate came looking for me. You never know when you're going to have to face your demons, or how one simple choice might change your life forever. I couldn't have anticipated what would happen that night. The fact that it almost went wrong, so very wrong, makes my story even more unsettling. The Halloween Carnival was just supposed to be something fun to do. Our small town clung to the edge of the wrong side of Seattle, and I didn't have a lot going on. Then the carnival showed up the weekend of Halloween. My friends, Dara and Britt, loved Halloween, and I knew that they would want to go. The three of us wandered through the crowd of people. We walked past the booths selling kettle corn and caramel apples, stopping to throw darts at ghost balloons for cheap prizes and laughing at the costumed vampires and zombies that roamed through the crowds, scaring the little kids. The last booth at the end of the row was a fortune teller's tent. The tent was covered with dark, heavy fabric, and the sign hanging outside said, "The Great Zahir. See into your future. Only $5. Dara said, "I've always wanted to get my fortune told. Let's go in." Without waiting for us to reply, she disappeared through the folds of heavy fabric hanging down, creating a makeshift door. Britt, ever the competitive one, followed her. I hesitated. For one thing, my dad once told me that all fortune tellers are con artists that are good at saying what you want to hear. Besides, the way I see it, the future is inevitable, and whether you know what will happen or not, it can't be changed. Dara poked her head out of the tent door and whined, "Lena, come on, this will be fun. Please?" I sighed and reluctantly followed her inside. The tent was dimly lit and stuffy. A man appeared, seemingly from nowhere, stepping through a fold of fabric at the back of the tent. Without acknowledging us, he walked over to the long table and picked up a box. I stared at him. I'd never seen a male fortune teller before. The box was dark and metal and had a large, staring blue eye painted on the lid. Creepy. He unlocked it with an old-fashioned key hanging from a leather cord around his neck, and then he set the box down on the smaller table with a thunk and opened the lid. A blue silk lining held a stack of shabby-looking tarot cards. He sat down in the velvet chair without a smile and without looking at us, began to shuffle the cards. Standing in the shadows near the doorway, I studied the fortune teller's face carefully. He was younger than I thought. He couldn't be much older than us, maybe in his early 20s. He had dark, shoulder-length hair, pulled half up into one of those man buns. He had a carefully clipped mustache and goatee that made him look more like a pirate than a fortune teller, and I'm 99% sure he was wearing black eyeliner. His high cheekbones and large dark eyes made him look exotic, maybe Spanish or Persian. Under a black vest, he wore a white shirt hanging open a few buttons too many, which showed a tanned chest and several more necklaces. To complete his bohemian fortune teller look, he wore black nail polish. He looked at Dara, already seated on the stool in front of the table, finally acknowledging her presence. "Are you ready to begin?" he asked, making an elaborate show of shuffling the musty deck of tarot cards. He placed 3 cards face down on the table in front of her. "What is your name?" he asked. "Dara," she said and giggled. "May I have your hand, please?" he asked, and Dara held out her right hand. She turned it so her palm was facing up and he began to trace the lines with his fingers. "You want people to notice you," he told her. "You want to be seen. You want to be someone people talk about." He let go of her hand and flipped over the first card. It had an intricate design of medieval-looking jester drawn in colorful ink. It said, "The Fool." He turned over the second card, which showed a burning tower. He said, "You will have what your heart desires. Everyone will have your name on their lips." The third card he turned over featured a woman with long hair surrounded by garlands of flowers. It said, "The World." "You will be the one that they flock to," he said, giving her another dazzling smile. Dara lowered her head and sighed. "I'm next," said Britt, as Dara stood, and the fortune teller once again shuffled the deck of tarot cards. "What is your name?" he asked her as she sat on the stool in front of him. Again he laid 3 cards face down on the table. "Britt," she said, and looked at him with challenge in her eyes. I could tell she was skeptical, but she was also more than a little curious about what he would tell her. "Give me your hand," he said, and she held it out to him, palm up. He looked at it and said, "You are a talented artist, no?" Britt looked surprised. "How did you know?" she asked, smiling brightly. Probably from your perpetually ink-stained fingers, I thought meanly. He turned over the first card in front of her. It said, The Lovers. The second card showed 8 coins with pentagrams drawn in the middle. The fortune teller looked at Britt, who was now eagerly leaning forward. There is a boy, he said, and Britt's eyes widened. I rolled my eyes again. Every teenage girl has a crush on a boy, as if that's hard to guess. The fortune teller turned over the third card, which showed 3 silver swords piercing through a red heart, with an eye drawn in the center, blood dripping down like rain. Oh, ick. The fortune teller's silky voice held Britt captive. This boy, you do not know if he likes you? She nodded, her eyes growing larger. He does notice you. He notices your talent. He thinks of you often. The fortune teller glanced at her under long, thick lashes. He is obsessed with you, he said quietly, each word dripping with dramatic emphasis. Britt's mouth dropped open, and she turned to look at me as she mouthed, No way. She turned back to the fortune teller and sighed. Thank you, she said a little breathlessly, her head drooping. He turned and fixed his gaze on me. And you, he said expectantly. I looked right back at him, forcing my face to remain expressionless. Do you also want to know your future, Lena? He asked. For a moment, I could only stare back at him. How did he know my name? No, that's okay, I said. A tingling feeling began creeping up the back of my neck like a swarm of insects. I blinked, breaking eye contact, and the feeling stopped immediately. Oh, I think that you do, he said, leaning back in his chair and taking a tarot card from his vest pocket. He began tapping the table with the edge of the card. Why was that in his pocket and not with the rest of the cards? As he tapped, I looked at the card closely. It was incredibly ornate, with swirls of black and red ink depicting a skeleton with a bright silver crown in the center, surrounded by dark red roses. It said, The Magician. He finally spoke. I promise it will be painless. Okay, that isn't creepy or anything. He tucked the card back into his pocket and gestured toward the stool. He said, Please, sit. And I sat down tentatively. Give me your hands, he said, his long lashes lowering over his eyes. His hands were warm and dry and a little rough. After a long moment of tense silence, he looked at me. His confident stare was unnerving. Finally, he spoke. You want to know your future, Lena. It was not a question. You seek your path. You seek knowing. His thumbs began stroking my palm, sending spidery shivers skittering down my spine. The tent seemed to darken, although I didn't notice the candles flicker or dim. What you seek is also seeking you. However, it will not come without a price. Do you want to know your future? Price? What kind of price? The hair on the back of my neck began to stand on end. What's going on? That only happens when there are... I purposefully ignored the rest of that thought. Yes, I said, trying to sound confident, but mostly it came out sounding like a squeak. Good, he said, as a smile lifted the corners of his mouth. Then let us begin. He let go of my hands, finally, and shuffled the cards once more. He fanned the cards out onto the table and then gathered them up in one smooth motion. He laid 4 cards on the table face down in a diamond-shaped pattern. I watched him intently, wondering why there were 4 cards this time instead of 3. I could feel Britt and Dara standing on either side of me, lean in for a better look. I pointed at the top card, the closest one to the fortune teller. He flipped it over to reveal a woman in plain robes standing on top of an inverted pyramid with an eye drawn inside it. The border around the card had interlocking snakes twisted into Celtic knots. It said, The High Priestess. He looked at the card for so long it seemed he'd never tell me what it meant. I looked over at Dara, but she was staring straight ahead. I turned to look at Britt, and she was doing the same thing. Hey, I hissed at Britt, but she didn't move. Do not worry about them, Lena, the fortune teller said slowly, still looking at the card on the table. They are fine. Britt stood still as a statue. My heart began to pound. Something wasn't right. I reached out and touched her arm. It was ice cold. I looked at the fortune teller, starting to feel frantic. What did you do to her? Instead of answering, he said in a silky voice, Britt, Dara, you may wait outside. My friends turned toward the front of the tent at precisely the same time and obediently walked through the heavy velvet doorway, as if a puppet master had pulled their strings. The thick fabric swished back into place behind them. It may as well have been a prison door clanging shut. I went to stand up and followed them, but I couldn't move. I was stuck to the wooden stool as if I had been superglued to it. My hands stuck to the table as I tried to push myself up. I panicked and yelled, Britt! Dara! I told you, they are fine, he said, but they cannot hear you. No one outside the room can hear you. He leaned forward and reached for my right hand. He said, choose another card, and lifted my hand off the table. Finally, with one hand free, I tried again to stand, but I was trapped. I pointed a trembling finger at the card on my left. He flipped it over. It had an image of a hand with lines crisscrossing the palm, and a single eye stared out from the center. Rune-like symbols traced up each finger, and the card had a repeating number 8 pattern around the border. It said simply, death. He looked at the card for a moment and then said, turn over the last 2 cards, Lena. I turned over the 3rd card. It said judgment, and had a golden scale with a coiled snake on one side and a unicorn on the other. The last card showed a woman in an elaborate red dress wearing a silver crown. She had a long silver sword in one hand, and the other was holding up a severed head. It said, Queen of Swords. He grabbed my hand and pulled it toward him, his eyes searching my palm intently. The blood ran cold in my veins. That's it. I'm done. Let go of my hand, I said, and tried to pull away, but it was as if my hand was glued to his. I was getting a little tired of being stuck to things. His eyes burned like liquid fire when they locked onto mine, and for just a moment, I forgot who I was. I mentally shook myself. Get it together, Lena. Could it be possible, he murmured, as he picked up and inspected the High Priestess card. Yes, I can see it now. The power, the possibilities. You are not what you seem. Together, you and I will rule this world. Nope, I said, once again trying to pull my hand free so I could get the heck out of there. You've got the wrong girl. Trust me, we aren't doing anything together. You don't even know me. Lena, he said in a silky voice like a predator purring. Have you not figured it out? He tilted his head to the side, and a look of pity crossed his handsome face. Shall I tell you about your family, Lena? Fools seek their fortunes, he said, as he rose from the velvet chair and walked around the table to stand in front of me. But not you, Lena. Who are you? I asked. He didn't answer. I tried again. What are you? We have been called many things, he said, his voice as cold and smooth as a river stone. Jinn, soothsayer, magician, fortune teller. We, I asked, but he only smiled. Why are you doing this? I asked him, and he laughed, a low chuckle that made me shiver, and not in a good way. He took my hand and pulled me up to stand in front of him. Let go of me. I tried to sound commanding, but instead it came out like a whimper. I tried to pull away, but his grip was like iron. Stop resisting, Lena. Accept your fate. He gripped my chin in his fingers and forced me to look at him. I suddenly forgot why I was trying to get away. No, it was as if my body had just stopped struggling on its own and I couldn't move. He smiled his beautiful, terrifying smile and touched my cheek so softly that it made me shudder. I do not tell fortunes, Lena. His voice was barely above a whisper. I create them. I finally remembered to breathe as the world righted itself. What are you saying? His smile faded as he stepped back and dropped my hand. You have no idea what I am capable of. Fear of the unknown and the desire to control what is just out of reach brings people to me. They have no idea what they give up in exchange. It is what makes me powerful. It is my lifeblood. As he said this, something was scratching at the back of my mind, a thought that really wanted to break free, something important. The fortune teller gathered up the tarot cards. He placed the cards in the metal box. You think you can live any life you choose, he continued, but that is a false dream, a fantasy. Not thinking, I blurted out, "Why do you care? You don't have anything to do. You don't have to do anything to anyone. I mean, can't you just get a hobby or something?" Before I could blink, he rushed toward me and slammed his hands on the table on either side of me, making me lean back and gasp in surprise. Well, at least my talent for horribly timed sarcasm hadn't abandoned me. "Foolish child," he hissed inches from my face. "You think you can do whatever you like, be whoever you want, and reject your fate? You are the one who is living a lie." "I'm not," I began to say, and then paused. I could see the corner of the magician card sticking out of his vest pocket. A terrible idea crept into my mind. I quickly thought of something to say that would distract him. "Look, you don't have to keep me here. I'll stay on my own, like you said. I don't really have a reason to go home." He didn't move, but I could feel the strange hold he had on me releasing. It was working. I had to focus. "The High Priestess card is very rare," he said, stepping back a few inches. "No one in all my lifetimes has pulled those 4 cards together. You have no idea what you are, do you?" He smiled at me, a smile that would have melted hearts of 100 other girls. "Well, it's a good thing I'm not like other girls." "Actually, I know exactly what I am," I said, as a look of dark confusion washed over his face. "Being a fortune teller and all, I'm kind of surprised you didn't see this coming." I grabbed the corner of the magician card and whipped it out of his pocket. I pulled out the lighter I always kept in my jacket. His face registered the briefest shock as I flicked the lighter and touched the card to the flame. That old tarot card lit up like a sparkler on the 4th of July. "What have you done?" he screamed as a cloud of dark smoke engulfed him, but it was too late. I lunged toward the open box on the table and threw the burning magician card inside, catching the rest of the cards on fire. The last thing I saw was were his beautiful dark eyes as he disappeared in a column of smoke. "Never leave home without a lighter," Dad always says. "You never know when you'll need to burn the soul card of an evil djinn." As usual, he was right. I watched the cards burn for a minute more, just to be sure each and every one had curled into a pile of ashes, before I snapped my lighter shut and put it back in my pocket. I closed the lid of the metal box, smoke still escaping from the side, sending pale tendrils curling up into the darkness of the stuffy tent. I looked down and saw the key lying in a circle of scorched grass. I locked the box and hung the key around my neck. I picked up the box and studied it, cringing at the blue eye painted on the lid. That's the first djinn I've handled on my own. Dad will be proud, I thought.
Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us for this Trick or Read virtual night of storytelling. It has been a great, fun evening. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. And you remember, have a happy and safe Halloween!